Alright guys, so today we're talking about the Carolina double crease. In the last video we went Carolina against a single crease offense, what that looks like. A reminder, an example would be a 2-3-1, a 3-1-2, or a 1-3-2. Today I've circled the 2-2-2 and the 1-4-1 when they've got two guys in on the crease. We still slide crease, but our recoveries change a little bit, using the same principles that we've been using since the first video. So I'm going to go through a 1-4-1 sliding to those four spots, what the recoveries look like from the bump and the away standpoint. But you'll notice that alley, skinny, drive, turn, 1 and 2, hedge and fire, eagle and turtle, and Rico, they all stay the same. The only thing that changes is number 8 here, which is where we have our opportunity to bump or away, right? Another thing that I want to add here as well is tendencies, and I'll cover those as well. So on the right side of the board, you've got 4 pulls out, slides high and low, double bump, and tendencies, right? So 4 pulls out just means if we have a chance, we'd rather be set up like this. All 4 of our pulls on the perimeter. Now they may carry and roll off. Don't get caught going crazy trying to switch. So if this guy carries in this direction, and this guy comes up and works to the ball, we're not going to panic and try and shoot over with the LSM and give up leverage. I mean, let's say you did do that and they found a way to get the ball here. If that LSM was to switch and then they throw it back to this guy anyways, a D-midi is going to have to come out and play that ball. So you make them bury the pull, but don't freak out and say, oh, we have to go up and play that with a pull no matter what, because you're going to give up more leverage than it's worth. And our D-midis need to be able to cover in space. So let's reset a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward as if they've already done that and they've buried the pull. And we've got a D-midi on ball. Okay? So the second thing that we have to talk about, assuming that we alley, is that if we have a chance to force this odd front to his left hand, we should always do that, okay? Secondly, sides refers to our crease action, all right? And it's gonna be dictated by what formation they're set up in. Sides would be left and right, like this. Therefore, anything that came to this side of the field, this D-midi would be hot. Anything that came to this side of the field, this LSM would be hot. That would be a sides, left and right, okay? Now, if they were stacked offensively, which would be like this, it would be the same thing. You can call it bookends, you can call it high-low. Anything below the midline, this one would be hot too. The midline of the defense. Anything below that midline of the defense, the LSM is hot too. Anything above, high wing dodges, or up top, the high guy would go, so it looks more like this. Okay, so that's the point I want to make with sides high and low. Don't designate one, because remember, you guys will see this developing. I care more about the 2s and 3s than I do about the original 1, right? A lot of times, defenses can slide with their 1s on time and mess everything up on the back end, and it won't matter. So we don't want to get caught in a situation where this guy is flying longer than he needs to up top, or him flying longer than he needs to down low. The same thing for left and right. So easier just to designate a high, low, and a left and right to make sure who's going in what situation. Double bumps we're going to cover here in a second. Tendencies, right, of a 1-4-1 or a double crease. Most of them are going to do a concept for what's called carry and roll off, okay? And so what I mean by that is this situation where 4 guys are occupying a lot of space, they either think they can beat our defenseman one-on-one and they want all that space to themselves, right? Or they want to carry and add these guys on the crease, sneak them away from the play. So an example would be if this guy was to have the ball and carry, baiting us to slide from here so that this guy can step off into the space we just left. So 2-on-1 wise, they would have this. We would temporarily have a D-midi on the ball, and other D-midi that slid to him with a whole lot of space behind, okay? So most of the time when they start with a low perimeter offense, they want to add somebody to it. They could carry here, roll off as well. They could carry here, roll off, okay? So most of those offenses are going to be carry and roll off. And a lot of them are also going to be centered around two-man game. And to just kind of reiterate that point, if we have something like this, and they've done a good job of putting the LSM here and a D-midi here. If they wanted to, they'll always have a guaranteed way to bring a shorty to the ball. Whether that's him coming down and setting a pick, going two-man game with a big little, or having this guy fade like this and bring his D-midi with him, and then this guy comes and sets a pick here with a shorty. Okay, so a lot of these double crease offenses are going to start that way with four guys on the perimeter with the intention of bringing a shorty to the ball from the inside, which makes it hard to communicate. They're banking on O-midis and inexperienced D-midis not being able to communicate two-man game. So that's the tendencies. Now we're going to go over the slides and how we can combat that. So very, very basic concept to get down would be when the ball is up top. Again, I'm going to draw the D-midi in because they were successful at. Always keep your LSM low if you can, if they're stacked. Like this, okay? We're going to force this alley dodge, same terms. R1 would be here. R2 would actually be the other crease. And then R3, because remember we're going to need two of those, would be him here. So I've got 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we're going to fast forward a little bit. Ball's here. Our D-midi has slid to the ball. Our LSM has the 2. Our backside defenseman is in, and we have a D-midi who's in the state of Rico, okay? We can do one of two things, dependent on what these two crease guys are doing. Don't think that these guys are just gonna stand there, it's just the way it's being drawn. How do we decide? If they're standing still, it's very simple. We go here, and we go here, right? That's our bump. Okay, our away would be LSM stays locked here, and we want to send him all the way away. So how do I tell which one I'm going to do? It's all dependent on the crease action, right? So an away situation would be good if they dodged here and this guy was to follow, we'd want to send him away while we lock the crease. Or, even better, another away option would be if this guy climbed, this defenseman, remember this D-midi is the one in the state of Rico, all we have to do is say, hey, look away, and after that, LSM can just push back down, because remember this guy's up here now. And then my backside guy, there's our bump, right? So, same principles, right? If they're standing still, there's a double bump, right? The first bump is the on-ball defenseman originally, comes back to crease, pushes the opposite crease back out, who then pushes the 2 slide out, or we can just send them away as they carry and roll off and add somebody to the perimeter. You can send that recovering defenseman just to the perimeter again while you maintain your presence in the crease. Okay? So wing dodges against the skinny, very, very easy. I'm going to keep these ones, usually when it's initiated from the wing, they're going to be flat. So again, we want to go sides here. We're going to have our, this may be a D midi, who's taken away topside. We've got our LSM. We've got our D midi. This may be a D pole that they've buried like this, right? Same thing. If we force our skinny, which is this direction, our ball side ex-attack, or defenseman guarding the ex-attackman is stealing real estate to buy a better angle for LSM. We've got our 1s and 2s. LSM's my 1. This would technically be my 2. He would be in as the ball works behind, and this would be my 3. Okay, so we hedge, take a 12-yard slide, make it 7. We meet the ball carrier in the skinny, and now we're in a state of Rico. Same thing, right? If this guy takes a hard cut as they throw the ball and cycle it through X and he makes a hard cut, I may want to say, as this guy cuts down here, I may want to lock that and say, look man, I got him, you've got to go away, right? If this crease presence is being lazy, and I'm the D midi here, okay, you come here, and then I'll bump back out. But we don't need to be in a rush to fly up the field because the ball is now working behind. All right, so if we were to bump, he goes here, crease goes back out, defenseman comes back, and then this guy works back out. So you have a bump here, once for the 2, and once for the 2 and once for the 3. Okay, so again, applying that double bump. All right, final thing would be at X. Again, X, we're either driving or turning. Okay, drive, we want to force to a corner, we're not going to slide. Turn, we're going to force an inside roll. So this ex-attackman's got the ball, defenseman's on him. We're here. We're going to beat him to the spot and make him do this. Okay, we were playing the ball side wing heavy. We've got our D midis here, LSM, and our backside pull. Again, using our terminology, that's my 1. This is my 2, and that's my 3. Okay, so I'm hedging, taking a 12-yard slide, making it 7. I know I keep hammering on that, but steal real estate when you can. Okay, here's my 1. Here's my 2. Here's my 3. Okay, so now if we fast forward, we force the inside roll. The LSM has picked up the ball carrier, and we have a defenseman who just forced the inside roll that's in a state of Rico. So, again, we've got our aways and our bumps, okay? An away situation would be if this ball carrier was to flash very aggressively here. This D midi is now here on ball, or excuse me, on the flash cut, and this D3 is here, like that. If this guy cuts hard to the ball, that D midi has to stay on him, right? And he's got to send him back. That defenseman picks him up, I'm sorry. They've got to send the defensive guy away. And that might be here to here, or it's going to be a bump, which would be he goes goes here, pushes him back out. Okay? So, point being, to kind of summarize, these are oversimplifications. These are going to be moving pieces, but when you're doing your defensive skelly, we're still enforcing the same thing when we go Carolina against a double crease. Alley, skinny, drive and turn, where we're taking the ball carrier, using our north, south, east, and west principles. 1 and 2, we always need a hot and a 2 slide. We're hedging, 12-yard slide, make it 7. Fire, we have tempo to our slide, and we Rico. And our Rico options are away and a bump, okay? Get 4 pulls outside when you can against a 1-4-1 or a 2-4-2-2-2. Sides, left and right if they have left and right attackmen. Crease presence, then have a right hot and a left hot to the sides of the fields. High, low, 1 slides to everything high, 1 slides to everything low. Tendencies, know what they're trying to do. Carry and roll off in 2-man game. We have another video going on 2-man game. All right, so that's Carolina against a double crease. Our next will be Army, which is our adjacent set. And after that, we'll cover near man concepts and man down defense.